The Nile was more than a river. It was a lifeline, a silent witness to centuries of kings, queens, and forgotten empires. Its waters carried whispers of ancient gods, its currents veiled secrets no mortal dared disturb. And among those secrets was one bound by blood, a lineage of guardians, chosen not by wealth or crown, but by duty. Amin did not know he was one of them. He was a fisherman, no more, no less. His mornings began with the call of ibis across the reeds, his nights with the slow rocking of his boat under Nubia's star-strewn sky. To him, the Nile was simply a mother, feeding him with fish, cooling his brow with mist, and wrapping him in its eternal embrace. But destiny often hides in plain sight. It began on a night when the moon was a silver scythe over the Meroë pyramids. Amin cast his net, but instead of fish, his hands brushed against something hard, cold, and impossibly ancient. He hauled it up, a fragment of stone, carved with symbols he could not read, but somehow understood. His heart pounded. He had seen these markings before, etched faintly on the walls of his late father's hut. That night, in dreams heavy as the desert air, Amin saw visions. He saw men in golden armor, bowing before the river. He saw women chanting beside pyramids that shone like suns. And he saw a relic glowing deep beneath the sands of Meroë, a relic guarded by shadows and blood. His father's voice echoed. The Nile chooses its guardian. You are the last, Amin. When dawn broke, the young fisherman was no longer just a son of the Nile. He was its final protector. Word spread quickly of strangers arriving from lands beyond the desert. They came with tools sharper than blades, tongues filled with hunger, and eyes fixed on the pyramids. At their head was an archaeologist named Dr. Harrington, a man with ambition written into the lines of his pale face. He claimed he sought history, knowledge, truth. But Amin, guided by the whispers of his ancestors, knew better. The relic Harrington sought was no ordinary artifact. In the wrong hands, it could bend the Nile's will, bringing either endless life or merciless ruin. One evening, Amin approached the site, where Harrington's campfires licked the horizon. The pyramids stood in solemn silence, their shadows stretching long across the desert. He watched men dig, watched them laugh as they unearthed fragments of the past as though they were trophies, not memories. Beneath his ribs, fear coiled, but so did resolve. The guardianship was not a gift. It was a burden. At night, guided by memory and dream, Amin entered the pyramid's hidden passage. Dust choked the air. Silence pressed heavy on his chest. The walls bore riddles in the old tongue, riddles his blood knew how to answer. He pressed his palm against a carved sun, stone groaned, and the path opened. He whispered the names of rivers lost to time, doors unlocked, traps slumbered. But the deeper he went, the clearer the truth became. This was not a journey meant for glory. It was a test of sacrifice. By dawn, Amin reached the chamber. There, resting on an altar of obsidian, lay the relic, a vessel carved from crystal, pulsing faintly with a light that seemed alive. It was beautiful, terrifying, eternal, the very heart of the Nile. Yet footsteps echoed behind him. Harrington and his men had followed. Their lamps threw sharp shadows across the chamber. The archaeologist's voice rang with triumph. At last, the power of kings within reach. Amin stood between them and the relic, his body trembling but unyielding. His voice was steady. This is not yours to take. It was never meant for hands that seek power. Harrington laughed. And what will you do, boy? You're a fisherman, not a king. But the Nile does not choose kings. It chooses guardians. The chamber trembled as Amin laid his hand on the relic. Heat surged through his veins, a current as strong as the river itself. Visions flooded him, his ancestors, row upon row, standing behind him like a tide of shadows. Their voices joined as one, protected at any cost. The walls cracked. Water gushed from hidden veins within the pyramid, roaring like thunder. Harrington and his men screamed as the flood carried them into darkness. But Amin stood firm, the relic in his grasp, until the water swallowed him too. When the desert sun rose once more, the pyramid was sealed. The foreigners were gone. Only silence remained, save for the steady song of the Nile. The villagers whispered of Amin, the fisherman who vanished. Some said he drowned. Others claimed he wandered into the sands. But the river knew. It knew that its last guardian had not perished. He had become part of it. His spirit, bound to the relic, flowed forever in its waters. And so, each dawn when the sun painted the river in gold, the Nile carried his promise that no matter who came seeking power, its heart would never be taken.